Hi there. Hope you have a fantastic day today. This lesson, I will go through 2023 HSC paper with you. Of course, there is a PDF file versions on the description below for you to download so you can work with me. Otherwise, let's go straight into it. First one, the temperature T is equal to 15 plus 4e to the power of negative 3. The question is, what is the initial temperature of the object? So this means that T is equal to 0 because of initial temperature. Okay, initial means when T is equal to 0. So when T is equal to 0, that means T of 0 is 15 plus 4e to the negative 3 times 0. So give me 0. So that becomes 15 plus e to the power of 0 is 1. So that means 4 times 1. So that is 4. So the answer is 19. So the answer should be D. Question 2. A standard 6-sided die is rolled 12 times. Let P hat be the proportions of the rolled with an outcome of 2. Which of the following expressions is the probability that at least 9 of the rows have an outcome of 2? So first of all, we know that the die is rolled 12 times. And we want the proportions at least 9 of the rows have an outcome of 2. So this means that the proportions is at least 9 times out of 12. So that is P hat, the proportions is 9 out of 12. And we need to have at least. That means the proportion must be greater than 9 out of 12. And we know that 9 out of 12 is 3/4. So 3 over 4. But then we need to work out the probability of that. So that means P of this. So that is A. There you go. Question 3. The diagram shows the direction field of a differential equations. A particular solutions to the differential equation passes through -2, 1. The question is, where does the solution passes through -2, 1 across the y-axis? Now to do this, so what we do, we just draw a curve that follow the gradient directions, and then we can work out by just looking the graph, okay, the y-axis. So we just look at the gradient directions, and we need to pass through -2, 1. So somewhere here we go across. So now we just need to look at the y-intercept. So if we think about it, this here is 1.5. Let me just write this here. 1.5 is the y-intercept there. And of course, this is 2 and this is 1. So this means that 1.75 is here, roughly, correct? Therefore, the graph is just passing through the y-intercept is around there, okay? So then we just look at the closest answer. So 1.12, so that is here. So there is not correct. And the next one, 1.34, that is less than 1.5. So that is wrong. And 1.56, 1.556 is here roughly. And this one here is 1.78. So 1.78 above here somewhere. So therefore, the correct answer is C. That's the closest answer. So there you go. Question 4. So the question is, we need to find the area between f of x and g of x between x is equal to a and x equal to c. So in another word, we need to find this area here. So this area, okay? Keep that in mind. Then let's go through all the information given to us. So if we evaluate from a to c, f of x is 10. So A to C f of x. So this means that the whole lot here is 10. And now we have from A to B, g of x is negative 2. So g of x from A to B is here. So that is negative 2. So keep that in mind. And this means that the area is equal to 2. Okay, if you like. Now, g of x is from B to C. So that is here, B to C. That is 3. So to work out the shaded area, that is the yellow color, if you wish, so we just go like this. So we just need to find the area by, so the whole lot here, so that is 10, and then we minus this bit out. Okay, we do not want that, so that is 3, and then we need to add this bit. So this area here is 2. So that is 10 minus 3 is 7, add 2 is 9. So the answer should be 9. So that is C. So there you go. Question 5. So we need to find the inverse sine of A. And we know that A is between pi and 3 pi over 2. That is third quadrant. So this is A. Okay, A here. And that means A is on the third quadrant. And remember, for inverse sine, the domain of inverse sine must be between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. So therefore, if you think about it, okay, let's say this angle theta is here. This angle theta. So therefore, I will equal to pi. So 180 or pi if you wish. So we add theta. Okay, that's I. So this means that sine of I, so that is on third quadrant, is exactly the same as negative sine of angle theta. Okay, and we know that negative sine of angle theta is equal to sine of negative theta. So that is sine of negative theta. And if you think about it, okay, if we move this angle theta on this side, we move this on that side. So this means that negative angle theta is pi minus A. Okay, so that is equal to sine of pi minus A. And therefore, sine inverse of sine angle A will give me, because A is this. So that is sine inverse sine of pi minus A. So we cancel each other out because sine inverse and sine within the domain of inverse sine. So we cancel out. So that means pi minus A. So pi minus 8. So therefore the answer is B. Question 6. Given the two non-zero vectors A and vector B, let vector C be the projections of vector A onto vector B. What is the projections of 10 vector A onto 2 vector B? So 10 times vector A onto 2 times vector B. So first of all, we know the rule of projection vector A onto vector B is A dot B over magnitude of B square, and we times by vector B. Okay, so now we have 10A onto 2B. So let me just change the number here. So this is 10A, this is 2B. Okay, so what it does is exactly the same as 10A here, 2B, that is 2B and 2B. Because A is replaced with 10A and B replaced with 2B. That's all it is, okay? Now remember, 10 and 2 is just a scalar, okay? So we can just simplify them. So that is, so 2 times 10 is 20 times 2 is 40. So equal 40 vector I dot vector B over, and now the 2 square give me 4. I can take it out, so that means vector B square. And don't forget, this is vector B, and we can just simplify this. So 40 divided by 4 give me 10. So that is equal to 10 vector I dot vector B over magnitude of B square and then times by vector B. So that is equal to, so don't forget this is vector C. Okay, keep that in mind. So that is 10 times vector C. So the answer is C. So there you go. Question 7. Which of the statement is always true for real numbers A and B, where A is greater or equal to -1, less than B, and B is less than or equal to 1? So part A, second of A is always less than second of B. So let's see if it's correct. So to do this, so we need to just do a quick sketch when we know that 1 over cos is second. Okay, so let's do second graph first. So let me just quickly draw a cos graph first. Pi over 2, negative, and pi over 2. Okay, for cos, right? Just draw within domain because we have 1 here. We only need to focus between -1 and 1. 1 here, for instance, right? So let me just clear this. So to sketch this, we know that the asymptote, because 1 over cos, don't forget, and then the asymptote here. And the graph is like that. Keep that in mind. So between 1 and -1. Let me clear this first. So let's say I here somewhere. Okay. So let me just clear this, make it 1 here so you can see easily. Okay, this is 1, negative. And this is I. And this is B anywhere, okay, on the right hand side of I. So this is B. So you can see sec I is greater than sec B. So therefore, this answer is wrong, okay? Now, part B. So inverse sine of I less than inverse sine of B. So let me just do a quick sketch for inverse sine first. So for inverse sine, the domain is between 1 and -1. And the graph is like this. So there you go. This is pi over 2. This is negative pi over 2. And I is anywhere on the left hand side of B. This is I, this is B. So you can see inverse sine of I is always less than inverse sine of B. And because this is, the graph is always increasing. Okay, so that means the answer is correct for B. And we know that C and D are wrong because we already found the answer is B. But for our understanding, let's look into parts C and D. Okay, so arc cos of I, that means inverse cos of I. Okay, so let me just do inverse cos. So let me just sketch it first. So part C is inverse cos. So let me just quickly do it. So cos is between -1 and 1. Keep that in mind. And this is pi over 2. Your graph is like this. So this is pi. This is pi over 2. So you can see this is I here, somewhere here. And B is always on the right hand side of I because B is greater than I. Okay, so B here. You can see inverse cos. I is greater than inverse cos. B, this is wrong. Keep that in mind. And for part D, if you think about it, okay, is one of the trig identity. Sine inverse of theta plus cos inverse theta is equal to pi over 2. Okay, so this means that this is pi over 2. This is also the same. So it's pi over 2. So we know that pi over 2 cannot be less than pi over 2. So the answer is B. That is the answer. Question 8. The diagram shows the graph of a function. Which of the following is the equations of the functions? Now to work this out, of course, you can sketch each of these graph, and then you can compare the answer. But it can be time consuming. So what we do, we just substitute the x value in and we compare and then see which one is correct. Okay. So first of all, what I do, I can just substitute, let's say x is 1. So when x is 1, so this means that become 1 and 1 minus 2, it give me -1. And we absolute value will give me 1. And 1 minus 1 is 0. So this is correct. See, when x is 1, y is 0. So we just keep this a text for now. This is correct. And the second one, when x is 1, so that 1 minus 1 is 0. So 2 minus 0 will give me 2. So this answer is wrong. Part C. So when x is 1, so that become like this. 1 minus 2 is -1. We absolute value will give me 1. And then we have 1 minus 1 is 0. So which is correct. Then part D. So when x is 1, this becomes 0 because 1 minus 1 is 0. And then 2 minus 0 is 2. So this is wrong. So the answer is A or C. So now we need to pick another value. So we, of course, we don't pick 0 because when x is 0, they both have the same answer. I can see clearly here. And so we pick -1. Okay, when x is equal to -1, so we just need to focus on this now. So when x is -1, so -1 absolute value will give me 1. So 1 minus 2 will give me -1. So absolute value of that will give me 1. So 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. So there you go. It's correct so far. Okay. Now we just need to substitute x equal to -1 into part C. So we have, if x is -1, so that means -1 minus 2 is -3, and we absolute value give me 3. So 1 minus 3 equal -2. And we absolute value of this is equal to 2. But then we have 0. So the answer is wrong there. Okay, 0 here. So therefore, the answer is A. So there you go. Question 9. The graph shows f of x. So we need to work out which of these functions here has an inverse relations whose graph has more than 3 points with an x coordinate of 1. So in another word, we need to work out which of these graphs here has more than 3 values, that is y is equal to 1, if you like, because we know that for inverse functions, the y value becomes x values becomes y. Okay, so keep that in mind. So we just need to work out the y value. Which of these have more than 3 y value of 1? Okay, that's all it is. So first of all, let me just do a quick sketch of this. Now, square root of f of x. So we know that we cannot have a square root of a -1. And we know that if you square root a number that is less than 1, so it's greater than the actual value. So it's something like that. Okay, just a rough sketch. And this one here is something like that. Okay, just roughly. Okay, so therefore, we have a horizontal of 1 here like that. So this one have 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 x value of 1 because x is become y and y value become x. Okay, so we have only 3 x value of 1 if we draw the inverse function of it. That's not the answer. So let me just cross it. And for part B, the reciprocal functions, we have the asymptote at. So to sketch this is something like this. And this one. And this is like this. So we have 1, 2, 3. So if we draw the inverse function, we have 3 x value of 1. But we need more than 3. So the answer is wrong. So now let's get this graph. So don't forget f of absolute value of x. That is when x is greater or equal to 0, they are the same. So equal f of x. So on the positive part, okay, remember. So when x is less than 0, so f of absolute value of x is equal f of negative x. So please keep that in mind, but from x is less than 0. Okay, keep that in mind. And then we only need to draw the negative part. Okay, so the x equal negative, like this. So the actual graph will be something like this. It's a reflections of y-axis. Okay, so then if we draw horizontal line, so we have 1, 2, 3, y equal 1. So if you grab the inverse of this, we have 3x value of 1. Okay, so keep that in mind, but we need more than 1. So this is wrong. So the answer should be this graph. Now, for the purpose of our understanding, let's sketch it. So absolute value functions. So that means this becomes positive. And this one becomes positive, like that. So if we draw a line across, so we hit 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4y value equal to 1. So that's the answer. D. Okay, so there you go. There you go. Question 10. A group of 5 students and 3 teachers is to be arranged in a circle. In how many ways can this be done if no more than 2 students can sit together? So first of all, you can either fix the teacher or fix the students. Doesn't matter which one, okay? So let me just fix the teacher. So let's say we have 1, 2, 3 teachers in a circle. Okay, keep that in mind. So let's say teacher and a teacher here. And don't forget, for a circle, the rule is n factorial over n. And now we have 3 teachers. So that means 3 factorial divided by 3. So that is 2 factorial. That's for the teacher. Now for the students can either, we have a student here, can have 2 students here, and 2 students here. So now what we do, for students, we can have, the first student can have 5 choice, okay, 5 places to choose from. So let me just write this down, 2 factorial, that's the teacher. Now we work with the students. So we have 5 students can sit here, okay, and then the next one, it can only have 4 students because one already sit down. We have 4 and followed by 3 options, and the next student can have 2 options, and the last one, you only 1 seat left. So that is 2 factorial times 5 factorial. So that is the different arrangement. But then we can have more than 1 options. So we can also have like this. Teacher, teacher, teacher here, right? So we can either have a student here, 2 students here, 2 students here. Or we can also have teacher, 1, 2, teacher here. We have 2 students here, 2 students here, and 1 student here. So we have 1 combinations, 2 combinations, 3 combinations. So that is, we times by 3. And there you go. So, but then don't forget, because we have 2 factorial times 3. So 3 times 2 factorial is exactly the same as 3 factorial. So that becomes 5 factorial times 3 factorial. So the answer should be B. So there you go. So otherwise, you can also fix the students like this. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have student, 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 students, right? So you have 5 factorial divided by 5 for the students. So 4 factorial. So 4 factorial here. Now for teachers, teacher can sit here, here, and here, as long as maximum of 2 students sit together. So for the teacher, we have 3 factorial because we have 1, 2, 3. Okay, keep that in mind. But then we have more than 1 option, of course. So the teacher can either sit here or here. Or we can have teacher here, here, and here. So that is 3 options so far. Or we can have a teacher here and teacher here and a teacher here. That's 4. And we can have a teacher here, a teacher here, and teacher here. Okay, so that is 5 options. So which is times by 5. So therefore, we know that 4 factorial times 5, so that give me 5 factorial and times by 3. So there you go. So the answer is B. So there you go. We'll repeat B. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.